My name is Christy Busby, and you are about to listen to the next episode of my podcast called F.A.T.E. From Atheism to Enlightenment. So come on in, join me. We're going to talk about it all from atheism to enlightenment. Alrighty, guys, here we go. Get ready and welcome to your F.A.T.E. Welcome, everyone, to the next episode of F.A.T.E. How's everybody doing today? On today's show, I have Ethan Friess. He is the founder, inventor of a new technology called Septa Sync. Ethan Friess, welcome to your F.A.T.E., my friend. How you doing today?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm very excited to have you on the show. Full disclosure, ladies and gentlemen, I have been following Ethan on TikTok for a long time now. I have been there since the beginning of his journey with this technology called Septasync. It has been having absolutely profound impacts on people's health, on their ability to lucid dream while they're awake. It's fascinating. But I want to get into the very beginning. Let's talk a little bit about the gateway experience, which is how I found you on TikTok. I had some interest in the gateway experience, and why don't you tell us, because you'll know exactly what you can and can't say about this entire situation. Why don't you explain to the audience what the gateway experience is and why you started doing it yourself?
Yeah, so the gateway experience, I think it still is like one of the best things that's ever happened to me in my life. I will always credit it as a huge point of self growth for myself. So the gateway experience uses sound frequencies to change your brain waves and guides you to get into a very interesting state of consciousness. It's like you're asleep but awake. It's kind of both at the same time, and just being in that state, kind of looking at it as a tool, you can work out so many different things internally, things that would cause an emotional response you can think about with dampened stimulus. You're not going to be so emotional. You're not going to be feeling your heart pounding. And I use Gateway as a tool to kind of help me start my businesses, get everything going. I feel like it gave me purpose. It's a really incredible set of tapes.
I mean, just a little backstory on the gateway in general. It is designed to give you a experience, an astral projection, allow you to get out of your body and do astral projection. And it uses hypnotherapy, uses binaural beats. You listen to Robert Monroe walk you through. It's a series of tapes. It takes some time. I have experienced the gateway tapes myself. I was working with them. I kind of was using it for healing myself and hoping to get to I was hoping to get to, like, the level in which you would experience maybe having conversations with other dimensions, other beings. All of these things were possibilities when you got into the gateway experience, and um there is a quite a large group of people that are out there listening to these tapes, having experiences, having healings, astral projecting. If people are interested in this process, if you look up the Gateway Experience or Robert Monroe, you'll get his backstory on how he was developing this back in the 80s. And he ended up working with the CIA to do a lot of research about astral projection and consciousness and all of that. And that's how these tapes came to be. And then, of course, if you're really interested, he has an institute called the Monroe Institute that you can go and experience astral projection and higher dimensions and alternate forms of consciousness, which I'm so super interested in. So I started following you on TikTok when you first started saying you had PTSD and that these tapes were helping you, and you were bringing your audience along with what the improvements that you were having in your psychological well-being and how these tapes were were really expanding your ability to be more level, more normal, more relaxed, more yourself, and they were amazing for you. And when it really started getting interesting is when you started talking to us about your lucid dream and what happened during that dream, which birthed your Septasync tapes. So can you talk a little bit about the fascinating dream that you had and what came from those dreams that you were having?
Yeah, so there was two dreams. Like you said, I was dealing with PTSD. I was having a lot of kind of holdbacks, and I've always had really big aspirations. So trying to start businesses and dealing with mental health issues is a really hard thing to do, especially PTSD because it's in your control, but it's not. So you feel like you can do something and you never can. My business mentor starts telling me about the gateway process at dinner. He's a has three companies. He's the CEO of all of them, not a guy you would think is crazy. So he's telling me all this stuff and he says, the CIA was doing this. You like leave your body. And I'm sitting there thinking like, this guy cannot be crazy. He's got him. Everything is too put together in his life for him to be saying stuff like this. But he's out there promising me, you need to try the gateway tapes. They changed my life. It'll change the way you think about yourself. You are what you think. He always told me every day, shit in, shit out, change the way that you think. I thought he was crazy when I'm driving home, but he left me with Walkman and like the gateway tapes on cassette.
Oh,
And I'm
wow.
like, I have nothing to lose. I'll give it a try. I'm a really scientific person. That all was crazy. I was upset. I was driving home. I was upset. I was like, all of this time I put into this guy for him to help me, and this is what I get. I was like, this is a bummer. I started listening to the gateway tapes. I had nothing left to lose, and nothing happened. I kept listening. I was like angry, and I'd start listening to it like, I need something in life. And after about 2 weeks, I had the craziest dream while I was listening to the tapes. It was like I fell asleep and woke up in a dream. I don't know how to quite word it. Like it was not like any other dream I've ever had. And things were talking to me. They were telling me, you need to start telling everyone you know about what you're going to experience right now. Was talking about my purpose in life was to teach people this. And then that would evolve into me being in the history books. And it just kept getting crazier and crazier. And I got all these instructions that, like in this dream, things were telling me like, this is how the world works. This is where science falls off and where humanity can't understand it. And you can help bridge the gap. It was intense. It was crazy. It took me like 2 weeks to process what happened to me. It took a few days for me to realize I wasn't crazy as well, because that was weird. I'm a logical, like scientific based person, so that happening was like nothing I could explain.
Can we dive in a little bit just so I can really get an understanding? So when you were dreaming, you were hearing things. What were you seeing when you were hearing these thoughts? What were you actually was there any visualization or were you getting like a download of information that was auditory, but what were you seeing during these lucid dreams?
Imagine you're in like total darkness, and it's like there's like a street light in the distance. Like you just see like a faint light. That was it. It was just like the light was talking to me. I don't know. It was weird. I still have a hard time talking about it because I don't want to sound crazy, even though that's exactly what the gateway tapes were made to do. It's just so out there. Um, so I'm in this.
You're in the right spot because I love all this stuff. I totally believe you. I'm totally in. So feel free to speak. I'm not going to think you're crazy. So go for your life.
Yeah. So basically, from there, it's explaining. My purpose lies in this. I need to teach people about it. I need to talk about it. I need to tell people. And starting that and having faith in what I was just told would guide me to a very fruitful life. And I remember asking him, like, how am I supposed to do that? And it said, you have a megaphone in your pocket. I think my phone. So I came out of that and I was like, what the hell just happened to me? I don't want to do that again. That was really weird. A couple days passed and I figured, I was like, what's the worst thing that could happen? So I posted a TikTok about the gateway process and it blew up immediately, had
Yep.
10,000 views in like 5 minutes. I posted a few TikToks messing around with my friends and they never cracked a few hundred views. And people loved it. Comments, dude, do more videos. I love the way you're talking about this. You seem like you know something we don't. Do more videos on this. And that was how the whole thing started. For a whole year, I just did videos on the gateway process, talking about, there is something to the world that we can't see. And I still genuinely believe that. We live in a spiritual place. I went from being an atheist to a Muslim in a year. It
I went
gets you
from being
fast.
an atheist. Yes. I mean, I didn't know that part of your journey. I had no idea about. You never spoke about being an atheist in any of your tapes that I saw, any of your TikToks. But I was an atheist too, and I've only been on this spiritual journey for like 4 years, and doing this podcast has been like a school for me, learning. And so I've become extremely open-minded. I've been extremely interested in the nature of reality, higher consciousness. So it's fascinating to me that you were also coming from I my degrees in animal behavior and neurobiology. I was very science based. I was very logical. Same, my friend. So go ahead, keep going, brother.
Yeah, so from there, I made those videos for about a year. I blew up on the internet. People were interviewing me for investigative journalism. Most of the gateway information's on the CIA's website. My grandpa also used to be a CIA agent and told me they declassify some crazy things and they're fun to read. He passed away when I was very young, but one of the things I remember him talking about was aliens. Said we're not alone. They've been here a long time. So I've had a huge interest in, what is going on with UFOs because my grandpa was a government dude, one of those guys everyone's afraid of. So hearing him say something like that on his deathbed, I was like, this guy never talked about anything. There must be some weight to that. And that started a whole thing of doing conspiracy theory videos. The CIA genuinely posts some of the craziest things that read like science fiction on their website. And what's crazy is all of our taxpayer money was funding this stuff. I mean, they're trying to have people psychically look at Mars a million years ago, and it's all pretty silly stuff, but when you sit and think about it, it's like, man, that's bizarre. And did they know something we don't that verified this enough for them to spend, millions of dollars a year on it? I still have questions about it. I know logically that's not real, but then you sit back and you're like, well, you get in.
I The more I talk to people, the more I do my own investigation, the more open-minded I become, the more I'm having my own experiences, the more I understand that we don't know anything. We don't know, and that our life is much more complex, mystical, magical than we would ever think, and we've been shut off by our programming from that side of our being. But life is like way more like interesting than we think it is. So,
Yeah,
you
there's
know.
most definitely more to it. So I do
Yeah.
these videos for a year. I start to kind of build a name for myself, mostly talking about the gateway process. This is where things got really trippy for me. I do my conspiracy videos. I always enjoyed doing those. And they wouldn't always do great. If I was having a slow month and I'm like, man, I need a bigger paycheck at the end of the month, I'll do a gateway video. Those consistently went viral for me. Every single month, I'd do one gateway video. It would cannibalize my views from everything else. It's like, no views for your next 10 videos. The gateway one was good. That's kind of how TikTok works. And I go to San Luis to visit some of my friends, a town where I grew up. And I fall asleep that night. I hadn't listened to Gateway in months. I feel like I got what I needed out of it and just kind of moved on. And I have this just weird dream. I'm winning an award. There's scientists. I'm giving a speech talking about this technology I developed that was changing, levels of research in the brain, discovering new things we can do, influencing. And I started listing off frequencies. I said the way I did it was using these frequencies, 100 and 104, then 200 and 205. And I listed off so many frequencies and I kept repeating them in my dream. I woke up and it was stuck in my head like a song, all of the numbers and decibel levels. It was very specific. So I wrote it all down on my phone. I get home to Oregon, a couple weeks later, and I just decided I'm going to put it together on my computer. What's the worst thing that could happen? Put it together on the computer. I throw on a pair of headphones and listen to it. And it's I started zoning out at a wall. And I was like, that's got to be a placebo. I go to my neighbors, can you please try listening to this? My coworkers, my parents, anybody that was near me. I'm like, listen to this. Tell me what happens. Everyone said the same thing. It was I fell asleep, but I was awake and it was potent. It was fast. It's very strong. I've not been that relaxed in a long time. Playing Xbox with a buddy, and I'm like, will you try listening to this thing I made? He just broke up with his girlfriend of years. He's super sad, can't calm down. He's high strung. He comes back 4 minutes later and he's like, dude, what the hell did you make? And I was like, it's been 4 minutes, dude. What could have happened? He's like, I feel okay right now. And I was like, what do you mean? He's like, my heart's not racing. I'm not stressed. I feel okay. And I'm sitting there in disbelief. I'm like, this was so easy for me to put together. There's no way no one's done something like this before. So I start researching it. Nobody's ever put together binaural beats successfully. I've tried other combinations. It just simply does not work. Something about what I was talking about in my dream, it works. And that was when I started doing beta tests. I reached out to a patent lawyer, found out there's nothing like this at all. It's open season. So I spent all of my savings on this patent lawyer. I couldn't even afford the whole thing, but he tried Septa Sync and was like, you invented some crazy shit. That was what he said to me on the phone. I'm going to do your patent for free. Pay me back when you have the money. I know you'll make the money. So I paid him like 10 grand, which was all the money I had. I still owed him like 5 more. And he just cranks the patent out super fast. I start sales on the internet, paid him back the rest of the money within like 2 hours of launching Septasync. And it's
My
just
God.
been explosively successful. I mean, I can't keep up with that. I'm sleep deprived. I've been sick for like a week and I'm not getting better because I keep working, but it's like I'm so pumped and excited. I can't stop. Like I have a fever and you'd never know. I feel so good otherwise. It's how could I not be pumped?
I have to say, I've been watching you through this process, and it's been exciting even for me to watch you because number one, you're young, like and this is, it's not like you're 40 years old, you're doing this. You are young and you are really on this adventure that I believe was downloaded to you from a higher dimension. Like I've said that from the get go. When you started talking about it, I was like, oh, this guy had a higher dimensional being download him with codes. And now, which I believe you are going to bring to the world, and you're going to illuminate us on yet another way that we can heal ourselves. And I want to talk about two things for my audience. Number one, I want to just define what is a binaural beat and what has it been traditionally called and used for. And number two, I know that you have started going to like biohacking conferences and really getting into the science end of this deal, and people are having absolutely profound responses to this. Why don't we go ahead and say, what is a binaural beat and what have people really been able to gain from listening to these tapes?
Yeah, so a binaural beat, science would call it brainwave entrainment. It's very simple at its base core. It's like an optical illusion for your ears. It completely relies on sound processing. So if I played 9 hertz in your left ear and 11 hertz in your right ear, your brain would vibrate at the difference of 2 hertz. Speakers can't put out such low frequencies, so you have to trick the brain into creating it itself. You could do 10 and 12 or 15 and 17. It will always be the difference of the two. So Septasync is a lot of 100 and 105 to create 5 hertz in the brain. But a binaural beat is just 2 pairs of frequencies that causes the brain to create one internally. It's like your brain gets lazy and bridges the gap. It says these sounds are so close together, they're practically the same thing. I'll make them the same thing. And you can hear the effect. You'll have a flat tone in one ear and a flat tone in the other, but when you listen together, it goes vroom, vroom, like a warbling noise. You take one out and all of a sudden it's just a flat tone. It's such a trip.
It's really basically your brain creating an auditory illusion is basically, it seems like that's what a binaural beat is. Your brain's making it up as it receives the information, which is fascinating. Our brains are fascinating. Um, so what kind of experiences I know it's been a range of experiences from lucid dreaming to healing experiences. Can you talk a little bit about what's happening to people after they listen to these tapes?
Yeah. So basically, like, for example, how we were talking about using 2 hertz. 2 hertz is very similar to how your brain acts normally when it sleeps. Everything is vibrating matter. Your brain will vibrate at different levels, and that's reflective to your physical state. You're a high vibration, you're running, you're energetic. You're a low vibration, you're probably asleep. So you can use a binaural beat to influence the brain waves to act like you're asleep, or act like your brain would act when it's, healing tendons or ligaments. That's been kind of the traditional uses, is to slightly replicate something that would happen naturally. You can't force somebody into it, but you can really influence the brain to follow based on the frequencies. So the difference there versus Septasync is 14 frequencies versus binaural beat is just 2. The reason no one's been able to achieve that is it's like ocean waves in the ocean. You know, they crash into each other, they'll interfere, they can't really pass through each other like a sound wave you'd think would. Sound waves follow the same suit. They hit each other, it creates a jumbled mess in the brain. We currently have no idea how or why Septasync works. My theory is it's either fluctuating through different binaural beats or you're maintaining multiple brainwave states in different regions of the brain all at the same time, which is what our EEG data is leading us to believe, but we don't have enough to make any real decisions.
It feels like it's healing people, though, from various anything from depression to aphantasia. What is your protocol for Septasync? What is it? Can you talk a little bit? Is there a protocol? Are you still trying to investigate what the protocol is? Do you do the whole 7 tapes in one day? Should you do 1 tape for a week and then move on? Or what what's your best guess in that arena?
So the gateway tapes are very structured, and that was something that always frustrated me with, you know, it's too guided. So when I made Septasync, I just thought of like how most meditations are way too guided. You can do literally whatever you want. And that is exactly like I designed it in a way where you can do tape 1 10 times, you can do tape 2 10 times. Every tape is the same with the binaural beats. The only difference is the aggression and the rollout. So they're spaced out differently. Some of them are much more aggressive. The later tapes, like 4 through 8, are like a really aggressive push on. The first 4 like slowly get more aggressive. But in reality, they're all exactly the same. And you can do whatever you want. I would not listen to too many in a day. You won't sleep well that night. You know, your body is going to be asleep. Your mind will stay awake. Your body will rest and you'll come out of it with too much energy to go to bed. Whenever I have to edit like all of the tapes, I usually block it out into a 1 day. I'll do 10 hours of work. I don't sleep that night and it sucks. There's like nothing you can do. So, I mean, I wouldn't listen to too much of it in a day, maybe like 2 hours tops, but literally do whatever you want. If you like it in the morning, do it in the morning. If you like it right before bed, you know, do it before bed. Who am I to tell you how to use it? Just do what you find helps the most.
I love that. The one thing it really has helped me so far is that I am somebody that was having nerve pain, and my nerve pain has been diminished like a lot. And I think it's very possible the more I listen to these tapes, I think the more response my body is going to have with diminishing my nerve pain. Um, but what other things are happening to people after they I know I've asked this 3 times, but we're gonna answer the question now. What other things are happening to people when they listen to this?
So that's an interesting question. And I've seen a lot of people try it. So the biggest thing I've noticed is almost anything neurological, people are finding the most relief with. Like, you know, nerve pain isn't all entirely neurological, but anything that can be like a mechanism in the brain causing an issue rather than a physical injury or ailment seems like Septasync is very powerful for it. So there's people like, for example, people have hearing damage from a loud boom. If they listen to Septasync, it's not going to do anything. But we have like a very solid amount of elderly people who take out their hearing aids, listen to Septasync, and don't need to put them back in. And we have no idea how or why that works. And it's like, you know, maybe 11 out of 100 are reporting, I haven't used my hearing aids in weeks. And while that sounds not significant, that is a huge percentage of people it's affecting. And if we can narrow down what exactly is the cause of deafness that it is, you know, reportedly helping them with, that could be huge. As well as that, people with tremors. Like I used to work at an old person's home. And there was a gentleman with Parkinson's, and I always felt so bad. I was a server, and he'd be trying to eat, he'd be shaking, and he'd spill food all over his face, his clothes. He looked like a 4-year-old, you know, like sitting on a high chair, covered in their food. And he'd always be embarrassed, you know, be trying to wipe himself up and shaking too. Septasync, people who have tremors are not shaking while they listen. So I noticed that in an old guy at the first health conference I was at. He's shaking, he's shaking. After a minute of Septasync, he stops. And I pulled him aside. I'm like, I'm going to give you a free copy of this. I want you to try it while you're eating. And he says he can eat without spilling food all over himself. And it's, you know, that's also huge. So I'm like trying to break into Parkinson's groups right now. I just did a whole move and everything, but I have time next week, so that's something I'm super excited to explore.
That is fascinating. I mean, the one thing it hasn't done for me yet, and I don't know if I just haven't spent enough time doing it, is, I still have aphantasia, so I'm hoping it relieves that part of my world, and a lot of my health issues reside in the brain and neurological. So I am excited to see what other things Septa Sync will bring to me. And I have to say, like, I don't really ask anybody to come on the show. Like, I'm very blessed. I have lovely PR and publicists that reach out to me, that give me amazing people and fascinating stories to tell. So, like, I'm not a podcaster that has to search for guests very often. But one of the big reasons why I was like, have to get him on my show is because I truly believe, Ethan, that this is going to be something that truly transforms medicine as we see it. And I think it's very potentially, possibly going to cure some neurological dysfunction out in our world, which right now, medicine doesn't have a whole lot to offer people. Medicine doesn't have a whole lot to offer Parkinson's and things of that nature right now, especially things like nerve pain. And I feel like Septasync is going to breathe the light in that area. Don't you feel?
I mean, I sure hope so. I was talking with a insurance company who reached out to me. I still don't really know what they want to do with Septasync, but they were asking me all kinds of questions, promised that they could get some research. A lot of people say that. So we'll see if it pans out. But that call left me with a lot of hope on the note you're talking about. Because I'm sitting here thinking it's going to take 10 years to get clinical trials, like, cradle to grave. It's going to take a long time to even know how this works so we can apply it to help people. And this guy's saying, dude, we don't like, there's so many medications. We don't know how they work. We just know that they work. And then I told him, I'm like, only maybe 11 out of 100 like deaf testers have claimed these results. And he's like, 11 people, like freaking out. He's like, that's incredible. And I was like, oh my God, I've been looking at this all the wrong way. Like, I was like, all right, 11 people. Like, so, I mean, I have really high hopes. And I hope this pans out, God willing.
I have no doubts. I don't know where you're at in your spiritual journey or what your core belief system is, but when I hear your story and I see what's happening, and now that I've actually had you on the show, because my questions, a lot of them were, what were happening in this lucid dream? Because you never really talk about what happened. You just say, I had this lucid dream and I got this information. And then I'm like, well, what do you mean you had a lucid dream? But now that I understand that there was a sphere of light or a ball and you were hearing telepathically somebody basically tell you what you were meant to do here. And it sounds like this is your path, your soul contract. This is who you are supposed to be. And through the gateway experience, I think you opened up maybe a little bit of portal to allow higher consciousness to come and guide you. Don't you feel that's the case? Or I don't know what your belief system is, so I don't know where you reign in that arena.
I'm gonna be frank with you. It still keeps me up at night. Like, I have no clue what happened to me. I think I'm very happy it happened. And I'm Muslim myself. The world's very spiritual. It's a very spiritual religion. I still have no idea. And it's one of those things that's like, I'm not even going to question it. It did a lot of good for me. And I've just kind of like left it behind because that's like thinking about what happens after you die. It makes me get all anxious and like existential. Because that dream was truly like no other dream I've had. I mean, I have dreams where I talk to people and stuff, but that didn't feel different than you and I talking right now. Like, it was very real. Like, I woke up from that freaked out. I immediately just got in the shower and sat down and I was like, okay, that was different. That was really different. But I don't know. I could never answer that in 100 years.
Well, you never know. Maybe you'll have future dreams. Are you done with the gateway experience? Have you moved on from that? Do you feel like you've gotten everything that you could from using those tapes? Or do you feel like if you went back in and started re-listening to some of those hypnosis that you would possibly get more downloads?
I'm honestly terrified to. Like I said, that was weird. I spent like a week thinking I was like losing my mind until like, a week passed and I'm like, okay, I'm not doing anything crazy. I'm not thinking differently. I'm still myself.
Yeah.
What was that? But I mean, if I've had an urge to do it, I'm sure I would. But I see stuff like that as a tool. Like magic mushrooms are a tool. People use them
Yeah.
for fun. I think it's a great tool to change your brain if you really, really need it. And I just don't see that as like something I would do for fun, especially with how intense that was. Like I said, it keeps me up at night.
I will say this. I think that fear does hold us back from a lot of things in life. And if I've learned anything on my journey, I have learned to be a lot less fearful, and that we as human beings, we are triggered very easily by things that are abnormal or out of the norm, that trigger this internal fear. That's our go-to emotion. And I find now, like, if that were to happen to me, curiosity, and intrigue, I would love for that to happen to me. Like, I don't find it to be scary. I find it to be something that we are all meant to awaken to at some point. I don't know. But having said that, I would say don't be fearful. I would say embrace um these interdimensional beings and embrace your higher self and your higher consciousness, because it's profound wisdom that you're being given. I mean, obviously, you know that, or you wouldn't, these Septasync tapes are something. In fact, the name of the episode is going to be called Biurnal Beats from Beyond, because I do feel like this was information that was downloaded to you from a higher consciousness, from profound wisdom. And I don't you do you, obviously, but my advice would be not to run from it or not to be fearful, but to embrace it and understand that we are interdimensional beings, and that we're that is a part of who we are. And we're just now, I think, as a global consciousness, starting to tap in to the many layers in which we call life. And that is a part of who we are. So embrace it, Ethan, man. Embrace it.
Well, I think the timing has to be right as well. So right after that happened to me, like I said, it took about a week for me to kind of regain my bearings and realize like, okay, I'm not turning schizophrenic. That's good. And then I was like, I need to learn, like, I need to figure out what happened to me. So I started trying to do it more. Um, and I genuinely think if that's going to happen again, it has to be for like some kind of reason. I could not even get close. I spent like 30 days trying, nothing would happen. When right before I went into that dream, it was like I fell asleep and I could feel my body like buzzing. Felt like my body was like a beehive. It was like buzzing. It felt like I was literally vibrating like the whole bed, if that makes sense. Like if you touched me, like a phone vibrating. It was strong. And for some reason that didn't wake me up. I haven't even been able to get that. Like I genuinely think like I got what I needed, and that was that. But I do believe that came from somewhere else. I mean that
No
I-
doubt.
it was then everything was all too specific.
100%. And like, people are having all kinds of miraculous healings in a way. Like even your friend who was so upset about the loss of his girlfriend, or people lucid dreaming, curing aphantasia, being able to, some people in your TikToks were hearing auditory sounds post Septasync that were like outer world, interdimensional, like, they had no idea where it was coming from. One in particular I remember was somebody said they heard a sword unsheathing or
Yeah,
something like
that was
that.
one of my beta testers.
That's just it feels like it does allow them to these tapes allow you to thin the veil between dimensions in a way where things are seeping through, whether they be visually or just auditory symptoms, that it is changing people's frequency enough to their opening up to a greater expansion of who we are. And that is exciting. I'm going to continue on these tapes. The other thing that I love about you, bro, is that you're very much a man of the people. You're like, I want to give this to everyone I can within reason. And you outright say, I'm not in it for the money. I want everybody to experience this. This is amazing. This is next level. Not that you don't want to make a living, not that you don't want to reap the rewards of your work, but you say all the time that you want to make this as accessible as possible to as many people. And I think that's part of your soul path. I think you're supposed to bring healing to millions of people without the greed that is behind so many other entities out there that are trying to make money off people's pain, basically.
Well, I have big dreams, but not that big. I want to race cars. I just met someone that like owns a racetrack in California, and they said they could get me in a Formula 4 car, so that's exciting. But I only need a house and like a Porsche and somewhere to race it, and I'm happy. And selling this for as cheap as I can will still get me there. There's no reason to dive into excess. I don't even know what I'd do with it. Um, and that's always been something really important to me is just being fair. I mean, it's like such a lost thing, and I just cannot understand it. Like am told every day I sell Septasync for too cheap. I could sell it for $1,000 and I would still sell a lot of them, but
Yep.
no one can afford that. And that's, what's the point? Like all of
Yeah, it's one of the reasons why I kept following you and watching your progress is because you are a rare bird out there that is not taking something that is so, quite frankly, very special and next level as far as what it could do for humanity, and instead of capitalizing it and making it and trying to make a killing on everything and being this greed that has taken over our collective conscious where everything has to be about money and the best and being a billionaire and all of that stuff is so distasteful and it's ruining our planet. And I love that the younger generation is seeing that that is not where your happiness lies, folks. I work in film and TV, so I work around a lot of people with money a lot, and I work around powerful people a lot, and I don't see a lot of powerful wealthy people that are any more happy. I find them to be less humane. I find them that when money is becomes such an equation in your life, you lose your connection to normal people. You don't live like normal people. You don't know how to interact with normal people anymore, and you put yourself on such a different plane that you don't even consider them your equal. They are beneath you. It's a weird psychological fuckery that happens when people get too much money. So I love that you keep saying, I'm going to put it out there as best I can for as many people as I can and allow the healing to happen. That is so important. So thank
and
you for
that
that.
that blows my mind. Like I was talking to one of my business partners about this the other day. Like at the end of the month, TikTok always like kind of shuts out your views for like a week and then it picks back up. So my CFO was like, "Why are our sales dropping?" I was like, "This will happen every month." I was like, it's good for us to be humbled. And we were talking about that. I was like, this should happen every month. I'd rather make a lot of money in 3 weeks and have a slow week so we can appreciate it more than just have it constantly rolling in. But I mean, getting money is like a birthday. I do not feel different at all. Like I don't know how people take this and are like, I'm better than people and all this crap. Like I literally don't feel different at all. I'm still yelling at drunk people out my car when I drive by them. And, I've not changed at all. Me and my buddies had a megaphone the other day and we were like, yeah, I shouldn't talk about that on the internet, but we had a lot of fun. I can't see how that happens to people. Like it just doesn't compute.
Yeah. I see it a lot. I've been in the business a long time, and it does humanity such a disservice to have there be such a huge discrepancy between the haves and the have-nots. It's not doing anyone any good, and we have to start understanding whether we like it or not, we're all swimming in this pool together, and we have to figure out how to make it work for everyone because now the gap is so ginormous. If people knew how much people had in middle America, like if they knew how much, I mean, they'd be pissed. It is unfair. It is not the direction in which we should be moving as a culture, and we should be doing something to unwind the huge discrepancy in people. And I know everyone's like, it's socialism. No, it's not that. It's like, let's do something for humanity in general. This is not clearly we're not going in the correct, you know, direction. Clearly, trickle down economics doesn't work. Clearly,
Yeah.
we have a greed problem in this country, in this world. it is very greed, self-centered, self-serving, and I loved that you were a young person coming up that had something that nobody else can take from you. You are gonna be the leader of this pack, and there's nothing else out there like Septasync, and you are bringing it to the masses at a price point which everybody could use. Is there anybody out there that uses it that says it does nothing for me? Like, you don't talk a lot about that. Like, is there people
Yeah,
that
it
says, "I."
very small group. Like almost 1 in 100. I've done 2 health conferences so far, and one person from each one was like, "That didn't do anything at all." And it's like you like I don't know how to word this better than you can see it coming when they walk up. It's like, dude, I could give you 15 Vicodin and a bottle of whiskey, and you'd say you're dead sober in an hour. Like it was kind of like that kind of person.
Yeah.
And then like some older, like middle aged ish or plus women get really hot. Like they start like overheating and they have to stop, or sometimes they get nauseous. We haven't figured that out, and it's maybe like 3 out of 10. But
Hmm.
for the most part, it works consistently on everybody. If you're fully deaf, it will still work. That was also a big shocker. So, I mean, it's pretty consistent.
It's absolutely fascinating to me, the whole story, your story from the gateway experience all the way to, um, getting your patent so quickly, releasing like, everything has happened for you pretty fast. And I see sky's the limit for you, buddy. I really do. I'm really excited to see what comes out of your research that you are planning on getting people. Like you had said in one of your TikToks that you're getting more and more scientists interested in doing real research, and I'm very interested to see what what they ultimately say is going to be your thread for what this does. Because right now you nobody really knows exactly what it does or what it's for. It feels like it is going to be, something that maybe affects everybody differently depending on who they are. It doesn't seem like there's a, one size fits all with these tapes.
Yeah, and that's what I'm so excited about. I just want to learn and have an idea of the mechanisms of action, or just know for sure what it does. Like our EEG tests are wild. I'll send you those if you want to link them in here anywhere. You'll see like highs and lows on the brainwave chart, just a nice consistent wave. And then you put on the headphones, and within seconds, it just like flatlines. It's like barely, barely moving across the thing. And it's weird. And like left brain and right brain were not in synchronization. They were at like totally different areas, both flatlined, like up here and down here kind of thing. Um, and just learning more about it would be so cool. These doctors, they're so urgent. They're like, we will get right on this. Let me talk to my colleagues. I'll call you in a month. And it's like, oh man, a month. And then a month passes. They're like, my colleagues are on board. I'm going to get you on a call with our chief medical officer. We'll schedule it a month out. And it's like, dude, you guys are urgent, but everything takes so long. Like, to be like completely realistic, if I could have any kind of research piece done in the next like 20 months, I would be ecstatic, and I would think I'm way ahead of schedule. Especially clinical trials, we need these little bits of research to start that. I think I can do this faster than anyone else would do it, but it's still going to be a long time.
I really think it in my little journey here with this podcast and talking to people, I really am convinced that humanity is on the brink of a great awakening to who we are and how multidimensional and how life is much more complicated and layered than we think our reality is. And I think something like this can help awaken people to who we are. I really do. I had another gentleman on a few weeks ago, Moss Mike, and he's a martial arts master, and he trained in this royal line of masters in India, and they had the ability to tap into their own prana, their chi, their energy. And he's invented a technology where you can see energy. You can literally put blindfold on, and you can walk around, and you can use your own energy and interpret your surroundings. And I think more and more of this stuff is gonna come to the surface and is really gonna make us rethink what our reality is and what we are really. I don't think we know our whole history, and I think there's so much more to learn about, what and who we are, and I think you are going to help awaken humanity to what and who we are, Ethan. I really, really do. I wish you nothing but success. I think that, you are light out there and, keep doing what you're doing.
Oh,
What
thank you.
what You're welcome. What do you see the future of Septasync? Like, where do you see this going worldwide? Like, sky's the limit. You're gonna take it as far as you can, I'm
As
sure,
far
yeah?
as I can, we have a professor in the Dominican Republic who's interested. I have like that insurance company I mentioned is going to try to link us together. He said my professor would love this. We'll talk next week. Cancer doctors in India are really interested. This could be huge out here. They're a fast growing economy. Our biggest research points seem like they're outside of America, even doctors in England or Wales, I believe. But the point being is that's huge. And I think, Septasync really acts like you're sleeping while you're still awake. And
Yeah,
that could be its own thing. I mean, when I listen to Septasync, I cannot sleep. It's like if I listen for 3 hours, I will lose 3 hours of sleep that night. It's like it quite literally substitutes it. And if that pans out, this will be the biggest product ever in Japan. Those guys work like 12-hour days, 6 days a week. They'll be more productive. They'll feel better. I mean, the sky's the limit. I have truly no idea, but I will take it as far as possible. And there's like
yeah,
20 different avenues we can go with the deaf people or Parkinson's, aphantasia. So, I mean,
yeah.
it will go somewhere. I have no doubts it will go somewhere.
I have no doubts. I'm hoping it heals my brain. You know, I like I said, a lot of my health revolves around my neurological brain issues, and I can't wait to start listening to them again. Like I said, I've only gotten up to tape 3, and I can't wait to see what other things pop in. Like if I have an interdimensional experience with a higher being. Like, I will be so stoked if that happens to me. But honestly, if I just get a healing, it's already healed me a little bit. Like, it's been, I want to say 3 weeks or so, and the nerve pain that I have had has not come back yet.
Oh
I
my,
don't know.
still.
Still
Oh,
has not
wow.
come back yet. Yeah. So that's kind of huge, right? That's
Yeah. Yeah.
huge.
That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool.
So I mean, it really helped me in that arena, and I'm hoping that it'll just I don't because nobody knows, like, I don't know if that's once you listen to these tapes, does it heal you and then it doesn't go beyond that? Or if you listen to them more and more, it heals you more and more. That I don't know, but I wanna see, like, what else it can do for me, you know? I'm hoping that I can start visualizing as I explore more in this arena, and, I'm going to get I've already sent your link to, like, my sister, and, like, "Buy this, it's 45 bucks, see what it does for you." Like, I'm, like, eh, giving it to my friends, like, what is it, Viracom or what's the link?
Oh, Viria?
Viria, okay. I'm gonna put, um how do you want people now to get this experience? I know that some things have changed, and is it the same website or is it different, or what's the latest in your how do
Yeah,
you get this in?
it's the same website.
Okay.
We are breaking GoDaddy's servers, so we're in the
Oh,
process of switching. So the website is, I'm happy we're having a slow week right now while we're working on it, or this would be a big problem. But website right now, within a week, it should be fixed. I'm getting on a call to pay for everything, and they should have it all fixed by the end of the weekend. We're going to switch servers, rebuild the website for a third time, but the domain, everything will be all the same. And you should have a much more consistent listening experience. It's not going to be cutting out or repeating words. We have like 4,000 people listening at once sometimes, and it cannot handle it. Like everyone has their own logins, so the server has to like basically make a different website for each person. It's not like everyone's sharing one. It's like, all right, here's their version, and it's all bad.
Well, I mean, how I get onto it is I go to your TikTok and then I just press the button on your
The
the
link,
link. Yeah.
that'll get
Can
you
I
there
still
too.
that'll get you okay? Because that's what I do when I go back and do it, so,
Oh,
so
we'll
I
be
will
on an
put
app. We're going to be on an app very soon. We just partnered with High
oh.
Frequency Highway. We're about to start the process of integrating everything together. So you can just jump on their app and listen to it from there.
Oh, interesting. So if you want, you and I have been communicating over TikTok. However, this episode will be a few weeks before it goes out. I have a couple in the can. I'm going to kick out before yours,
That's perfect.
but um, but before, just make sure I have all the information of where you want me to guide people to get this fascinating technology, and I will put it in the show notes so people can go ahead and get the app or wherever you're at that stage of the game.
Sounds good.
Ethan, like, let's stay in contact. I'm excited for you. I hope that this journey is just nothing but love and light for you. And I will let you know if I get any further healing or if it cures my aphantasia. I'm very excited to actually start the process again, and I'm hoping to get back into Septasync as soon as I can.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for having me. We'll do a follow up in a year or something. It'll be cool.
I would love that. I would absolutely love that. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you, Ethan, for being a part of the Fate podcast. Go get Septasync, you guys. You have no idea what it could do for you. It could be transformational for so many people. I highly recommend it. I'm doing it myself. And with that, gang, we will see you next week on Fate from Atheism to Enlightenment. Journey well, everyone. Thank you, Ethan.
Thank you.
Bye bye. And that is a wrap on this episode of Fate from Atheism to Enlightenment. Septasync, Ethan Price. It'll be in the show notes. I can't recommend enough that you reach out and pick up these tapes. You do not know how they will impact you for sure. But if you're hesitant, if you're fearful, if you feel like it could make you psychotic or you're not interested in lucid dreaming, of course, don't do it. But I think that anything downloaded from a profoundly wise entity that is not of this plane, I believe it is here to awaken us. I believe it is here to heal us. Lord knows this planet needs an awful lot of healing, and that our current Western medical system at it as it stands doesn't do a whole lot of healing, gang. Not unless you break your arm or you need a heart transplant or something. It's a for-profit industry. And I'm not saying that all doctors out there are bad or all surgeons are bad or nurses or anything. They are wonderful people trying to do the best they can in the system in which they swim, which, in my opinion, is not one that is allowing for real healing, real medical care, and Septasync, I think, is something that we could really transform each of us individually. Maybe you're having hearing issues and it allows you to hear. Maybe you're having some neurological issues. Maybe you're having depression. Maybe you're interested in figuring out who and what you are. But I think if you were to get these tapes, set your intentions, see what happens, you just don't know. I've started recommending them to everybody I know because I do believe that these tapes are healing. I have already gained some healing from them, and I think that as we journey down this road together, I think it's going to benefit me more in other ways. I mean, I'm not scared. I know Ethan was like, I'm not exactly sure what happened to me and I don't know what to think about it, but it kind of took him off guard. I understand that. It is not normal. It's definitely abnormal. It's definitely not mainstream. And if you're not swimming and learning about this kind of stuff and learning about the nature of our reality and how truly multidimensional we are and how connected we are and how it's way more complex, of course you're going to be scared. Of course it's going to be something that you will have never experienced before. Um, But I believe that being fearful over something holds us back from truth. It holds us back from being who we're meant to be here. And I think releasing fear or addressing fear head on is probably one of the biggest things that you can do for yourself. There is nothing to be scared of. You are an eternal being of light. You have lived many lives on this plane, on other planes. I know we have amnesia when we come down here, but I have to tell you that lately I've been doing these interviews with like past life regressionist therapists and finding more about how energetic we are. There's just no doubt that there is more to our reality than we know and that it is hidden from us. And I'm super excited to see what Septa Sync brings to humanity. I think it can really do some amazing, never felt before things for all of us. And Ethan couldn't be coming from a brighter light, don't you think? He's Mr. Hey, I want to give this to everyone. I don't need to be the next billionaire. I don't need, why would I need all that money? Like, I hope the younger generation is of that ilk, that they understand that money is a tool, money is good to a certain extent. But once you get all of your basic needs met, all the rest is status. Um, it makes you feel good, sure. But just like with anything, you get over it. You know, isn't it just the human way that we really, really think we want something like name it, be famous, be rich, have that designer bag, whatever it is that we think will really make us happy. It seems as if always when we get it, the happiness falls flat. Even for me, things like, oh, if I could make it in the movie industry and work as a work, I'd be so happy. I haven't felt happy working in the movie industry for a long time. It's really hard, especially lately with the lack of work. Like you always think certain things are going to make you happy. And although money does have its benefits, I'm not going to lie, everything is about money. And if you don't have enough of it, your life is so, so much harder. Your options are way less, and you are going to struggle and be distracted by the living in survival mode. And that will consume all of your brain power, all of your energy. You're working 2 or 3 jobs, you're barely getting by. It's terrible for your nervous system. It's terrible way of life. There is no doubt about that. Money makes your life easier. You can focus on other things. It's just it's a psychological weird thing. And I'm talking about when you have like real money. I'm not a baller, but I'm around enough of them to know the impact of what that does to your psyche, to your ego, how you live. And I look at it and I go, probably not the best idea that we have allowed in the last 40, 50 years to make a very small percentage of the population make an astronomical amount of money, more than they would ever need in like 10 generations of people. It's probably not, because now they've got us and they're not going anywhere, and it's going to be a battle, and here we go. But I do think in the middle of all this, we're going to have a awakening happen. And I think people are going to rise to the occasion. They're going to come together. They're going to understand that we are all connected and that we're all in it together, whether you like it or not. We all have different perspectives. We all have different ways of looking at things. We all are seeing things from our own imperfect eyeballs. And we need to understand that just because somebody doesn't align with you in a lot of different ways, you don't know somebody else's journey. What else? That's about it, gang. Reach out if you want on Instagram. I am at F.A.T.E. podcast. Follow the show, please. Also, support the show. Buy my book. It's in the show notes. It's I don't know, $11 on Amazon, or Book Baby, and it's a little something to support the show so I can continue to do this. I put a lot of energy, effort into this show, reading the books, doing promotions, editing, doing the outlines, like a lot. It's like a full time job. So do me a favor, support the show, tell a friend, subscribe, download, rate it, do all the things so I can continue to hopefully raise the consciousness of this planet and bring you guys an awakening, a little light, a little new perspective, all of that jazz. With that, we will see you next week on Fate, from atheism to enlightenment. And welcome to your fate, everyone. I'll see you next week. Journey well. Bye.